Everyone, this is Max, CEO of Smith & Sons. You are in the Business for Builders podcast, or maybe you're in YouTube land. Welcome to you as well. Today I'm going to quickly cover off something that I think I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say. If you don't know who Gary V is, then you need to check him out. He is everywhere. It'll be either be Gary Vaynerchuk or it'll be Gary V. Make sure we tag him in this podcast and this YouTube video. Look, today what I want to do is I want to chat to you guys. If you're doing your own social and you're doing your own marketing and all that sort of thing, I'm going to cover off a little bit of an intangible subject that doesn't relate directly to how do you do good social media, because one day I will get our creative director on and we're going to talk all about that. But I just need to warm her up a bit because she likes being on that side of the camera, not on this side of the camera. So yeah, she's smiling, give me a thumbs up. And what it comes down to is that creativity follows commitment. That's going to be the name of this podcast. And what we're alluding to is that I think what's got to happen first is you've got to have a level of commitment to, and I'll share personally really what I've done with this business in the last 2 and a bit years, almost 3 years now, I think, that we've been open for business as Smith & Sons. And, really what it comes down to is that, the creativity comes out of a commitment. So I think further to that, it's harnessing the power of intent. That's probably a really good, segue, because, when you're committed to doing something, you will find out a way. I mean, if you're only half-assed about doing something, it's probably going to go in one ear and it's going to be out the other ear in no time because really you're not committed to it. It's funny how, I guess, you just think about something in your life that you've really wanted to achieve. And it's funny how that, if you wanted that set of golf clubs, I think golfing spoils a really nice walk. So I don't particularly play golf very well. I like doing 4-ball best ball. I don't know. Is that what you guys call it here? Have you ever heard of that? 4-ball best ball. Okay. So it's where four general contractors usually drinking probably too much alcohol. And it's like, well, one of us has got to hit it straight. So we call that 4-ball best ball. Anyway, if you're a golfer out there, you can feel free to correct me, max@businessforbuilders.ca. But anyway, if you've got something that you really, really want, it's amazing how your level of creativity will actually increase to enable you to achieve that goal. And so, it's really comes down to, I think, when we're talking about construction and how we build business, I think a lot of the time, if we just take it at face value, what's happening in our lives and what's going on, a lot of the time we will just accept the status quo. It's like, well, this is how it's going to be. Now, side note, if I pivot a little bit and hopefully I'll come back on track, we talk about in our training with our guys, the power of mindset, and you've heard me talk on this podcast before, but, it's like you've either got above the line thinking or below the line thinking. If you're below the line and you're negative and you're pessimistic and, it's you hear these people go, I might say to someone, hey, it's a great day. Someone will say, yeah, but it always rains on the weekend. They are just internally pessimistic and negative. They are always like, if you put them in a dark room, they would develop. That's how negative they are. And so, we want to be people that are positive. And I think the positivity maybe even precedes the commitment. So you've got to be naturally, to be successful in any business, I feel, whether you're construction or, whether you're in anything, I think positivity has to become louder. If you're already negative, then you're probably dead in the water and you're not even going to get a proper start. So I'm going to assume that everyone here is positive and everybody has a very upbeat attitude towards the opportunity. And let's talk about the building game. And so I think with that opportunity that is there ahead of us, and the fact that we couple that with our, we underpin that with our positivity, then I think we have opportunity there to go and do something. Now, once you've got that organized, I believe that then the creativity flows, because all of a sudden it's like, okay, so if this is what I want, and I think goal setting is a big part of what's required as well. So the part of the commitment is that I am so committed that I'm going to put out a goal that might be, let's say it's out of reach, but it's not out of sight. And it's important that you set it up that way. Don't be too crazy. Don't set something you're going to be disillusioned with or demoralized by in the next 30 days because you just haven't made it. And I think we've got to understand that patience plays a big point as well. I think that we need to understand that we overestimate what we can achieve in 12 months and we underestimate, what we can achieve in 10 years. And I'm telling you, 10 years goes pretty darn quickly because I feel a bit old and washed up right now. But I want to encourage you. So, when you've got that commitment made, I think a lot of the time when you've got a clear view of where you want to go, how long it's going to be before you get there, and then you do a little bit of reverse engineering practically and figure out, okay, this and this and this has got to happen in the next 12 months, 18 months or 2 years, then I think we get to the creative part. And so I would encourage you to do a lot of what I do. I definitely sit there a lot of the time and I go, all right, this is what I want. This is how long I think it's going to take. Here's the reverse engineering. Now, how am I going to do that? And I don't know if you've sat in your chair in your office wondering about how you're going to achieve. I've got a plaque on the wall here that says something like, our mission to Mars is that we're going to put together a unique or a special group of general contractors, I think to the target of about 50 by 2023. So we're a quarter of the way through 2021 and we've got 6. So I've got some work to do. So it might maybe it was out of reach or almost out of sight. But I'll tell you what, the universe will reward you. And I was telling a story to, some of our staff here, and I said that, it's amazing how on windows at home, let's say you've just built a new home and you're like, I can't afford curtains. And then you go and put sheets up. I would argue that tear those sheets down because the universe will find a way to reward you with curtains because of the action that you took. And I call it the universal law of vacuum. And so it's interesting for me when I put it out there and I say, right, this is what we call a BHAG. Anyone heard of a BHAG? It's a It's a big, hairy, audacious goal. And so when you put your BHAG out there and you put it out there and you're very calculated in what you've done, you've got a positive mindset. It's funny how that, you might have heard me say too, the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think when you mix that optimism and positivity that's got to get louder, you mix it with commitment, and then, all of a sudden you've got a really tangible path or a tangible process that you want to go down. And then all of a sudden the creativity begins to sort of merge with that pathway. It's amazing how you start seeing things happen almost out of your control. And it's sort of like, if I hadn't have moved to this country, I never would have, well, I can't say never because I'll never know, but I got the opportunity to become a CEO. Now, when I moved here in 2015, we came, pretty quickly. The wife wanted to move and I argued with her for 3 years. And then in July 2014, I said, all right, we'll go. And we sold everything and closed businesses. And by February 2015, we were here. So we're talking 7 months, I guess. And I didn't have a work visa. I didn't have permanent residency status at that stage. But it's funny how that was almost like I am a naturally fairly positive, fairly optimistic dude. I don't struggle with commitment. I was married at 22 years of age and I'm still with the same gal now. So commitment's not a problem. It was just agreeing to move to this country. But it's funny how that now I look at where I'm at and some really good things have happened to me. And it's sort of like I had to be committed, but really to make it to where I've made it, there had to be an unknown quantity of creativity that went into it. And so I never went back and got negative. I always stayed positive about the end result, even though I couldn't see it. Did we do a podcast called Leap and the Net Will Appear? We haven't done that one yet, have you? Right. We're not going to do a separate one. We're going to talk about that now. And I want to talk to you quickly about the philosophy around leap and the net will appear, because I think it's super powerful. Maybe we'll even change the name of the podcast to that. I don't know. We'll talk about that later. But the power that if you can understand that, a lot of people will say, oh no, Max, I will leap and only when I can see the net. And I think that's for people that maybe aren't in the entrepreneur land, because everything that I've done in entrepreneur land, everything that I've done in self-employment land, it was an absolute that I had to leap and then hope the net would appear. And that is not easy to do, because I've done it a couple of times. I mean, when you're at 42 years of age and you've got 6 kids and your wife wants to move to a different country to be closer to her mum and dad, that takes a little bit of, okay, it doesn't see any practical reason why I should do this. But in hindsight, it's the best thing you ever did. Well, I eventually wanted to do it. So here we are. But what I'm saying is that I leapt, and then, some good things really started to happen. And so, I've been able to put together some really good business relationships, create some, good staff. and meet some really good people, and some good things have happened. So, I think here's another one for you, and I might have said this on another podcast, but if I'm regurgitating, it's just what I do, because there's not much new in this head. You can't steal second base with your foot on first, bro. So if you want the security of not, striking out, unfortunately, you're going to get stuck on first. It's just the way it is. But you've got to take a chance. And I think, living outside your comfort zone, I think we talked about that maybe last time. That's a big part of it. You've really got to get comfortable living outside your comfort zone. Every time I can feel myself getting comfortable, I'm like, okay, I've got to do something radical. I've got to get out of this zone, because I'm unproductive in my comfort zone, because I've mastered that level. If you're into video games, you never ever want to stay at the same level. You want to move on. That's part of the game, and business is very much about the game. So creativity, it comes after commitment. So, if you're in your business, then you really need to figure out, a few things. But I would encourage you that if you are optimistic and you are positive and you're committed to building a big construction business, I really want to encourage you that you've got to get some quiet time. I think, who said it? It'd be one of these wild and crazy billionaires, but they said what business people don't do enough of is sitting and thinking. And I think who's the big shot business guy, white-haired dude, probably 80 years old. I know you're yelling at me right now. No, try again. His buddy. Oh, come on. White-haired guy. Damn it, I can't remember. Anywho, forget about him. I'll think of him random. But the thing is, what he said was that business owners don't do enough sitting and thinking. And I think that you when you're in operations all day, and I'm telling you that builders particularly are always busy doing. It's very hard for us to just go, hang on, time out. I actually need to sit and think about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. See, the thought process is where, I think, matter of fact, I used to motor race a little bit, and it's amazing how that when you're sitting in the out grid, you'd pull that visor down and you'd close your eyes, and you would start driving that track. You are visualizing that you're in the left-hand side of the grid. You know that you're going to be outside on the marbles, but on the next corner, you're on the inside, so you're better positioned. So like all of these things, visualization is so important. And I am telling you, I lay in bed at night and I visualize a business with 50 franchises, because that is what's on my wall. 50 unique or elite general contractors by 2023. It's something that I think about all day, every day. And I'm thinking, I take time out. I'm like, okay, what do I need to change? What do I need to introduce? What do I need to improve? Who do I need to hire? What do I need to stop doing? See, all of these are questions that come to me, not when I'm doing lead management or I'm doing training or we're talking about strategy on our marketing or anything like that. It comes to me in my quiet time. So I would urge you that even though you are committed, doesn't guarantee your success. What you need to do is you need to sprinkle that with a bit of creativity. I would love to hear from you. You can get in touch with me at max@businessforbuilders.ca, and I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear any of your questions. If you want to have a bitch at me, you can do that too. I'll probably get back to you anyway. But I'd really love some feedback. Really your feedback to this podcast and this YouTube channel is our oxygen. We would love to hear how we're helping. We'd love to hear some of your success stories and anything else that you deem appropriate. But sure, comment, and share this information if you know someone that could help, that could help them. And we look forward to keep doing what we're doing. Have a great day. Go and build a kick-ass business. I will see you next time. Cheers.